part of a, well, I guess you could call it poetry.
Check it out. We are the ones. We'll see you fainted.
This is Steve Zeltzer with WorkWeek. The Chinese National Nuclear Corporation, which owns the Namibian Rossing uranium mine, according to workers, has been on a union-busting rampage. We interviewed on January 12th Edwardo Baptista, who was the second union chair fired by the company, in order to remove the union presence. At a hearing on February 8th, the company's chief financial officer, Van Schalkwyk, charged that a video circulated on social media by Steve Zeltzer of WorkWeek that he said had made false accusations against the CNNC. According to the CNNC CFO, the relevance of that YouTube video was that it made a host a whole lot of accusations, seemingly to indicate that since the Chinese took over, all of the new things have started happening. This YouTube video circulated widely in Namibia to the extent that our board chair was confronted on this. The board had an investigation into the serious allegations made in this video. This interview with Edwardo Baptista follows, who was also fired by the company. But first we go to his lawyer, Edwardo Baptista.
Could dismiss him through the correct person, which in this case, whoever signs it must be the MD or the board that signs it. Now, obviously, the wrong persons, it was a very informal, unlawful procedure that they followed. So he, in fact, is not dismissed because the Labor Act requires that it must be a formal letter through which he's dismissed, and the person who or the persons who dismiss him must have the necessary authority. It's obvious that the person who wrote him the letter has no such authority.
Okay, let's go to Edwardo Baptista.
What happened to me was, like I said, I was approached by a superintendent with regard to security and safety, and he practically asked me questions about, do I remember? I've never been through a hearing. In a nutshell, I've never been through a disciplinary hearing. All I have been through is communication from an acting general manager that notified me that I was dismissed. In a nutshell, there was no procedures followed whatsoever. I have never been invited to a disciplinary hearing. I was only notified that there are allegations against me. After that, the company apparently engaged in an investigation, and they presented me with the findings of the investigation, which I presented to one of the labor representatives, or what is Mr. Van As, if I can remember. I presented those to him, and then he said, no, this is basically just, it wasn't even a signed off document. It wasn't even a document that was signed off. It's basically somebody typed a bunch of letters and then they presented them to me. And then I said, okay, fine, whatever this is, I don't know what it is. I don't understand it. And basically after that, after I was presented with an alleged investigation and an alleged allegation, I was basically dismissed through a letter. That's it. I have never been invited to a legal or procedural hearing. I have never taken part in any of those things. I was notified that you only have 30 days to vacate our company. That's it. Whatever is due to you will be paid in due course and whatnot. That's it. In a nutshell, that's basically what happened to me.
So you were the branch union chair. We're talking with Edwardo Baptista of the Rossing branch of the Mine Workers Union Namibia, and basically they didn't go through any proper procedure to fire you. They accused you of doing something 4 years ago in a previous job, and basically used that as a pretext to just dismiss you without any kind of proper hearing or trial or anything.
100%. That is 100%. That is exactly what happened.
And what has been the response of the government, the labor agencies in Namibia?
I mean, with regard to that, I mean, the support, as we all have seen internationally, the support of the government is like, you know, Namibia is at such a point where the corruption is really, really rife. But I don't want to say a whole lot about that. Maybe Mr. Beekes can say on how the legal system, the justice system has responded with regard to labor and the issues that we are facing, especially with regard to the unfairly dismissed 9. I mean, it's almost like 2 years since those guys have been unfairly dismissed, and we're still here, we're still fighting. But we've got no response from government or from the judicial system or the judicial ministry, nothing.
And the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation, do you think their aim by dismissing you, after also dismissing the 9 leaders of the branch, was to get rid of a union, to deunionization, a union busting, so they wouldn't have to deal with organized workers?
We all know that the mission of the Chinese is to make sure that industrialization benefits the Chinese, and they will do that brick by brick. And unionism is something that takes money, or they feel it takes money out of their pocket and it puts it in the rightful owners. So at the end of the day, any company owned by a Chinese is only there to benefit China. So any union that represents workers that are representing a Chinese company workforce, they should watch out, because the Chinese are not here to allow any trade union to practice in any of their companies. And this is the same practice here. And the government supports that.
And do you know of any other examples in Namibia where the Chinese, either state-owned companies or private companies, have done similar things?
Wow. Steve, we've got construction companies here that are owned by the Chinese, that have employees working under strenuous conditions. They work below the minimum wage, even though that the Labor Act of Namibia has abolished contract work. We've got employees here working for Chinese way below. I'm talking about maybe 3/4 below minimum wage. I'm talking about who doesn't complain about Chinese employees or employers here in Namibia. Not to mention Africa. We've got multiple companies here that are getting tenders for major projects that even Namibians can do. We've got qualified engineers, we've got architects, we've got chemists, we've got marine biologists, we've got qualified people here in Namibia, but then all these tenders, they are going to the Chinese because government, probably, I'm speaking under correction, because government owes the Chinese. They owe Chinese money, and in order for them to repay them, it's for them to give them all this freedom.
And what does that mean for the working people of Namibia, the people of Namibia?
Deplorable conditions, poverty, getting dismissed without any foundations whatsoever, hunger, exploitation, modern colonialism. We're talking about people that are just sitting and complaining. But then when you get up, Steve, if you get up and do something, then you're the bad guy. You are the bad guy in the Will Smith movie.
When you went to work for Rossing, you expected the company would respect labor rights. You've been pretty much found out that actually that this purchase of Rossing by the Chinese and what happened to you has pretty much been a blatant attack on your rights and the rights of the other workers at Rossing.
Exactly right, Steve. The thing is with Africans, or with some Africans rather, greed is an issue, and I'm not talking about I'm not trying to blame them though. I don't blame them for being greedy. Look, if somebody offers you, as an African, if somebody offers you something that you have never had before, if somebody says that I'm going to better your life in this way financially, and then you had to like agree to this, to, you know, discourage, or not really discourage, but then to not discourage, I'm looking for the right word, to disadvantage your fellow Namibian workers and whatnot, you will jump to that conclusion in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, you will like jump to that conclusion. Yeah, I'm just saying that people in Africa, all over, in whatever country where the Chinese are having projects, or they're having you know, companies and whatnot, they tend to manipulate those that are weak, those that are not willing to like stand for the justice and for the right treatment of employees and whatnot. So at the end of the day, it's very, very, very difficult for you to like root out who is really going to represent the workers fully and sacrifice whatever they're gaining. So it's difficult. It's difficult.
Maybe you can introduce your family.
Okay, let me just introduce my family quickly. Okay, this is my wife. Who wants me to introduce? This is my wife. Her name is Rachel.
Hi.
Say something, Steve. Say something.
Hello, Rachel. Hello, Rachel. I'm glad to meet you. We're glad to meet you here.
Hello, Rachel.
This is my last born. He's being AJ. Hey. Hello. This is my son. This is my last born, AJ. Okay, that was AJ. That was AJ. The other two are still at home. But at the end of the day, really, Steve, we are so scarce. We are so scarce that sacrifice ourselves and our families for the masses. And at the end of the day, it's do you really feel strong about what you're doing for the next person, or are you doing this for yourself? And that's where the greed comes and plays a role. You know, if you're greedy, you're gonna like pretend that you're gonna be there for the people, and you know, you're gonna be offered something, and then Steve is gonna like go buy himself a Lamborghini, and we're all gonna be in the gutter. So at the end of the day, it's about, are you a strong person? Are you willing to sacrifice yourself for the hundreds, or are you going to be there just for yourself?
I want to thank you very much for joining us. We've been talking with Edwardo Baptista and met his family. He's a fired branch chair of Rossing, who was replaced the other fired, dismissed members of the Rossing leadership, the 9 dismissed leaders. And he also was illegally dismissed by the company. So thanks for joining us on WorkWeek, Edwardo.
Up, the workers, up.
Solidarity.
Solidarity.
Okay, great.
Comrade Breakers, Comrade George, we are together. We are together. Till the end, we are together.
Forward and onward.
Forward and
onward, comrades.
Take care.
Hey, you are getting too bold. You must grow some hair.
It's the fighting, my friend. It's the fighting, my comrade.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Okay, good night.
Or good morning, rather, for you, Steve.
Okay, very good. Take care. Say hello to your family.